What's up, guys? My name is Zach, and today I am driving a 2014 Honda Civic Si sedan. Up front is a 2.4-liter inline-4, and down below is a 6-speed manual transmission. Now, I am super excited to be driving this Civic Si for two reasons. First of all, I really love the Civic Si, and I think this is one of the best generations. It's still naturally aspirated, but it's handsome enough and modern enough to be fun. But the second reason, the bigger, more glaring reason, is the fact that this vehicle has 250,000 miles on it. It is a one-owner vehicle, and so I'm going to tell you today everything that has broken, gone wrong, exploded, and been destroyed in 250,000 miles. But if you would like to share your vehicle with me, whether it's high mileage or low mileage, you can head on over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form, takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. 250,000 miles. What has broken? Well, not much. The owner has gone through several sets of rear brakes. He says that the rear brakes only tend to last about 30 to 40,000 miles, while the front brakes actually end up lasting over 100,000 miles, which is kind of interesting. So he's not a big fan of the rear brakes, always needing changing. At least 2 serpentine belts, but those have just been changed at each 100,000 miles. So at 100 and 200,000 miles, it got a new serpentine belt as preventative maintenance. The parking brake cable has also seized after this many miles. However, there is one being ordered by the owner. It's just back ordered at the current moment, so it doesn't work here in the video, but that will be fixed probably by the time this video comes out. The only other thing that's broken has been a front spring. A front suspension spring actually broke due to corrosion, which this vehicle is kind of interesting because they changed the front knuckle design for 2014 and 2015. So finding any springs besides OEM can kind of be tricky because of that change. But that's it. It's on the original clutch. It's on the original engine. The engine doesn't burn oil or leak any oil. All the fluids stay in it when you park it. And that is hard to be said of any vehicle, let alone one with 250,000 miles on it. So let's get back to that engine that has lasted so long. It's known as the K24 from Honda. Now, this year of Civic Si made 205 horsepower. However, the 2013 made 201. Apparently, this is because they changed the design of the exhaust, and that was able to get them 4 extra horsepower, but you could be the judge. You're not going to really notice too much of a difference. The K24, in my experience, has been a fantastic engine. It's been reliable, and this vehicle is a testament to that statement. It's very, very good. And not to mention that 7,000 RPM redline is nothing to thumb your nose at. And the fact that it's done it for 250,000 miles, quite impressive. Like I said, paired to it is a 6-speed manual transmission. Now, this is the only way that you could get the Civic Si. You could only get it with a manual transmission. And like I said, original clutch has lasted this long. The owner said he probably assumes that he'll need a new clutch around 300,000 miles, but that's a problem for another day and for another 2 trips around the equator. Last but not least, of course, the Civic Si is front-wheel drive, as they've always been and will probably always continue to be. So how's it feel to drive a 250,000 mile Civic Si? Feels good. There is a little bit of that worn feeling in the shifter and in the clutch. A little bit more leniency here and there, which is completely to be expected. What it really feels like is that favorite pair of jeans that have naturally worn holes in the knees. They're a little bit thinner by the pockets, or that t-shirt that might be the same way. Visibility is pretty good. Suspension is stock. It does have Bilstein shocks, but they ride like stock, so everything I want there. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have 2 levels of gauge clusters. Up top, we have a little VTEC logo, my current speed, fuel, and a little readout that's giving me my clock and my odometer saying that 250,000 miles. But down below, I do have a physical tachometer, which is very, very nice, and this generation of Civic is kind of known for that split dashboard. On the steering wheel on the left, I have my information button as well well as my source, skip track, volume, menu, phone options, and off to the right, I have my cruise control options. This does have the Civic SI badge down below, and I have to say the steering wheel's held up pretty well. It is a sort of hard plasticky feel, but to be expected after this many miles. Off to the left, I do have a climate control vent, my traction control off, and 3 dead switches. Moving out of the door, we have our power mirrors, power locks, and power windows. Moving into the center, we do have an infotainment screen. Now, this is the owner's other big complaint, is that it's sort of outdated at this point. It's a weird middle ground where you're not going to listen to CDs or USBs, but it is pre-Apple CarPlay, so it kind of leaves you up a creek without a paddle in terms of audio usability. It does have Bluetooth, but it's kind of hokey and not really fantastic. Another unfantastic part is the backup camera. However, 2014 is 4 years before backup cameras were legally required, so it's nice that it even has one. Down below the screen, we do have our climate control options. I don't get dual zone or anything like that, but I do have fan speed off to the left, temperature off to the right, where to send it in the middle. Very simple. Then I do have a little pop-out storage cubby. I have inputs for HDMI and USB, as well as a power outlet. And then we come up to the shifter. The shift knob has been replaced because the first one did wear down after 250,000 miles. So the owner replaced it with a genuine Mugen shift knob, which is very proper for Honda, and I love the look and feel of it, but the shift boot is stock. Like I mentioned earlier, the parking brake is broken at the moment, but will soon be fixed. And then we do have cup holders, so we will do a big friggin' bottle test here in the Honda Civic Si, and I am very happy to report that its stock cup holders do in fact pass. However, the owner left me this cup keeper cup holder adapter, fits large water bottles, cups, and containers, and it of course also passes. So that might be an option if you do want to fit the big friggin' bottle in your own vehicle, but the Civic Si passes all natural. Then we do have a little center console filled with a rather happy octopus. Then we gotta talk about the seats. The seats are cloth, however, they do get these nice red inserts. They remind you that this is a Civic Si, gosh darn it. I love it, especially with the white exterior. The red seats really look good. I had a conversation with the owner earlier, and there was this orange color that he was contemplating buying back in 2014, but it would have clashed with the seats, and I have to agree with him there. So very nice to see the white with the red seats. I think it's an overall great look. However, speaking of seats, we do have back seats, so let's go do a back seat review. All right, so we're in the back of the 250,000 mile 2014 Honda Civic Si. Here's how the seats have held up in that time. I would have thought this was pulled directly off the assembly line. This is a great back seat. Knees, not hitting the seat in front of me. Head, coming close to the ceiling. I'm 5'11" and mostly torso, so I'm coming a little close. Not the end of the world. I do get a center console, 2 cup holders in there. If you're contemplating getting this generation of Civic Si, buy the sedan. Buy the sedan, buy the sedan, buy the sedan. I sang from the rooftops when Honda canceled the Coupe Si. I love driving them, but if you try to get in the back seats, I would much rather be stuck in a porta potty than have to sit back there. So these back seats are fantastic. This is the way to go in terms of the Civic Si. Just do it, please. Let's hop out. We'll take a quick look at the trunk and cargo space. Then we'll talk about the looks. All right, around the back of the 2014 Civic Si, and button here to pop the trunk, or there is a button down here, but just pull it up, and there's the trunk. Very ample space for a Honda Civic. Honda Civics are always great with this amount of trunk space. Nothing really to write home about, but there it is. Ta-da. Enjoy. Finite. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and I think this generation of Civic Si has aged really, really gracefully. I think it's very well proportioned, good. I think it still looks decently modern. If someone would have told me this was 2017, 2018, I would fully believe them. And honestly, probably even newer than that. I just have a wealth of knowledge of Civics, so my brain would reject that thought. But I think it still looks good in the modern era. It was a little bit ahead of its time, which is always cool to see. And the owner has removed the VTEC badges on these sides on the doors because he just thought it was kind of lame. So he removed those badges. This vehicle has not been repainted. And I'll do a quick swooping shot of the front end. This is how the paint has held up after 250,000 miles of highway driving. Barely any rock chips. Of course, you're going to get a few from some big hitters, but barely any rock chips. However, with all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think driving a Honda Civic Si from 2014 with 250,000 miles on the odometer? Well, this to me is impressive beyond impressive. I know people always say Hondas are super reliable, and I guess I can't say this was the biggest shock in the world for a 250,000 mile vehicle to be a Honda Civic. But it's rare that fun cars make it this far. Now, a lot of that is due to the owners having what they were supposed to be, which is fun with them and thrashing on them and beating on them. Sure. But to have a vehicle that was designed for enthusiasts be able to make it this far with very, very minimal maintenance besides oil changes. Again, rear brakes go out a little bit earlier than normal, a front spring broke, and the parking cable broke. That's it. Would I be so lucky to be at this age or point in my life and still be this good? And so people always ask me, Zach, what's a good first car? I'm an enthusiast, or I want to get into cars. I maybe want something manual, want something fun to drive, rev it out, what should I get? If you look any further than this generation of Honda Civic Si, you might be going in the wrong direction. This car has been treated well by its owner, and so in return, it has treated its owner very, very well. This is a very impressive case study, and I'm excited to see where he ends up taking this vehicle. If he does take it to 350,000, maybe the ever so scary 400,000 miles. Maybe this will double its mileage in its life. Whatever it might do, it's already accomplished so much that the rest is just butter. It's the cherry on top. This car is wickedly impressive, and to call it anything else would just be a flat-out lie. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Matthew for letting me take out his Civic Si. He also owned that heavily modified Oldsmobile Alero I filmed last year that you guys loved so much. Matthew's an absolutely awesome guy. He's a big fan of the channel. He's a big help to the channel. And so him letting me drive this Si was just such a great eye-opening experience. I can't thank him enough for letting it happen. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.